welcome back. We have a special show for you today. It's the Gratitude Show, and I'm joined with absolutely wonderful people and friends who have meant a lot to me over many, many years. I wanted to read this quote from Lionel Hampton to start. Gratitude is when memory is stored in the heart and not in the mind. Uh, I think the ability to be grateful especially in this world when everyone is challenged, every single one of the people here who's joined us has demonstrated that every single day in their life. I want to start with, I guess, Sissy. You're the one I met before everybody else. Sissy Hoffmann, living in Savannah, Georgia, right on the beach, right, Sissy?
Yeah,
It's grateful for that, I would guess. Sissy is a survivor of mesothelioma for how many years now?
20, it'll be, God willing, February, it will be 27 years,
Wow. Wow.
which is the longest living survivor in the United States.
Woohoo for that.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah. Uh,
That's
Paige
awesome.
Arnof-Fenn, the person I've known second most here. I met her when she was speaking. Paige is world renowned, I guess. Were you part of the original guerrilla marketing? I think you were. I know
Well,
you.
I learned my guerrilla marketing skills. I was the first chief marketing officer at Zipcar when we had literally no budget. And so I got really good at being incredibly scrappy. So that's where I kind of learned my chops on guerrilla marketing. I
So
started my career at Procter and Gamble and Coke, and they had big budgets, but I did marketing at 3 startups and never had enough money to do what I wanted to do.
exactly. These are the only two non-real estate people I had on the show, uh, but certainly people that I care about. And Kate Lanagan MacGregor, she and I started out together at, I think it was GBAR, Greater Boston Association of Realtors. We were on a communication committee, and I think you were the chairman, and I think I followed you. And then they disbanded that whole committee. Must have been
Yeah,
us.
we solved everything.
That's a much more grateful way to think about it than
Yeah,
we
when you're done,
ruined
you're
it.
done.
Yeah. And every year since I've been in business, I've had an accountability partner. And there we have Keith Landrum. And Keith and I have been working together, I think 2 years, maybe a little bit longer, Keith, right?
We'll be 3 years in March of this year or
Wow.
March of next year.
And
Yep.
what's interesting about having an accountability partner, somebody you start the day with, Keith is in Missouri. I'm in outside Boston, so we don't even share time zones. But we talk every morning about what we're doing, what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it. And both of us have doubled our business, and we blame it on each other, keeping us
Absolutely.
keeping us there. But I want to get to the point of this show, and uh, gratitude is an emotion that is deep in my heart. Even in the worst possible days, there's always something to be grateful for. Sissy, what are you I know you're happy to be alive, happy to be able to share your children's lives and their children's lives. But this year, what have you been most grateful for?
Well, I first have to preface that long list with, in my mind, going, what is the difference between thankful and grateful?
Mm-hmm.
Um, are they the same or do they overlap? And, when you run down your, I'm so grateful for, and then I looked it up, being a retired teacher 40 years, you can pick if I'm 40 or retired 40 years. Pick. um, and so being thankful, like you said, is an emotion. And gratitude is an attitude. So I think that I have to say, in my very beginnings of childhood, I was taught by the incredible modeling of both my parents. What I remember the most and have employed on a daily basis is Daddy saying, "Don't be afraid to ask, ask." And I really didn't know what that meant, but I come to find out is that I don't really know too much. And, when you teach, you're about 2 minutes ahead of the kids. And but in asking, you are opening up a whole world of information. And part of that is what got me here today. Because in 1995, when I was given 6 months to live, and I said, no, there has to be another way. What are my options? What are, I kept with the questions. And my mother kept saying, "Sissy, be quiet, let the doctors talk." Well, we got rid of those doctors and we found new doctors in Boston. And that's when I met Larry. But so being grateful in the past week or the past month is an overriding attitude of whatever the day and night brings you, that it's good. It's good. Because all those many years ago, that tragic announcement of, it was like a death sentence. And my mother kept saying, no, okay, so you're sick, you'll get better. We got to find out how to do this. And so she modeled over all these years an attitude. She didn't say, well, this is what you need to do to get through this. She just showed me. And neither of my parents is no longer with me, but I feel grateful for the long-lasting attitude that they modeled for me. And it's a fortunate thing in childhood that we, through osmosis, absorb that. So on the concrete level, which I'm thankful to be invited here today. I'm grateful to be here. So I have some odds and ends in my health now that are issues. I call myself a person with invisible handicaps. Nobody can tell that I have compromised infrastructure. Thank God I'm not dependent on the government. Well, I guess I am to an extent for taxes or Social Security. Anyway, there are a lot of answers out there for a lot of the issues that I started waking up with in the morning. And when you've had mesothelioma, which is a fatal disease, you tend to look at everything else. Is this resolvable or is it not? So if it's resolvable, piece of cake, And I've had a lot of nasty pieces of cake, but they were resolvable. Okay. So
I want to say for the other survivors and surviving a prognosis that you had, a situation you had. You just said two of the three things that I found after doing many, not just mesothelioma, but melanoma and a whole bunch of survivor videos for the amazing hospitals up here,
Right.
that there are three things that survivors all have: a willingness to go find another answer, a support service, someone saying, yes, I'm with you, I'll help you, and then a reason to live. And quite often that's, I want to see my child graduate, I want to see
Right.
my daughter married, something like that. But you, through that process, you had all of those things. And right now, Paige has been challenged over the last year or so. You're immunocompromised. I don't know if I could say that publicly, but
Here we are.
here we are.
No, I mean, before the pandemic, the fact that I took an immunosuppressing drug, I knew, my husband knew, my doctor knew. But as Sissy said, it's invisible to the rest of the world. But you know, during the pandemic, when you're on a B cell depleting drug and you need your B cells to get the spike protein, you're in trouble in the COVID days. So I've had to be super careful.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything Sissy said. I also grew up in the South and was raised with people that really were role models for me as well. I mean, you grow up saying please and thank you and writing thank you notes to everybody. That was just part of my upbringing, and it is osmosis. You just get it in the air and the water when you grow up in the deep South. So part of it is it's part of my DNA. I think the other part is, I think the secret to happiness is gratitude. I think, there's certainly things that I'm challenged and can't do, but I'm so appreciative for everything that I can do. And I think the pandemic has made me appreciate and realize all the things that I'm still really qualified, confident, willing, and able. All the people I help, I got really good at getting people vaccine appointments when that was really hard. In Massachusetts, where I'm based, the state was really generous with people like me who are immunocompromised. I got a vaccine along with like the 70-year-olds or something. Like I got bumped to the front of the line, but people were really nervous and I was able to figure out how to work the computers. And I probably got over 100 people that couldn't figure it out themselves vaccinated as quickly as they possibly could. And so, I can't do everything, but I can still do a lot of things really well. And I try and focus on the stuff I can do and not worry so much about the stuff I can't do. And kind of like Sissy, I've learned the hard way that like any problem that can be solved with money is not a problem if you have the money. And so I don't sweat the little things anymore. Like, I think I used to get all worked up if I picked the wrong line at the grocery store. And I was sitting at the stoplight and someone didn't go as soon as it turned green. Like I get upset. Those things don't really bother me at all anymore. Those are
I
not
haven't gotten that far yet, but
but I'm so grateful for the people who have been with me throughout this pandemic, because I have not been able to circulate and get back into the mainstream the way everyone else has. And so I have to be really careful.
Yes.
And there have been so many people, my husband first and foremost, who has just been amazing, but close friends and family, people like Larry, who just continue to check in and Zoom and call. And I don't feel isolated. I feel really connected. And I just feel like this ecosystem, this like bubble of people that have been part of my life. And you realize, just because people are related to you, I almost feel like I have a new definition of family coming out of this pandemic, because there are people that I'm not related to, but I've known for decades, like Larry, who genuinely care about you because they've checked in and they kind of know what you're going through, and they're offering to help any way they can. And you have relatives that I haven't even spoken with during the pandemic, so go figure. So I feel like if I can keep all the lessons that I've learned and the friendships, the patience, all the I will feel incredibly blessed and grateful coming out of this if we can all get back to some new normal where people like Sissy and I can circulate again.
Well, what you shared, Paige, is another aspect. Not only are you grateful for where you are, but you were thankful, to come back to what Sissy was saying. You were thankful, and you realized that other people needed that vaccine, and you went out of your way to help other people, and that's just an extension of gratitude and thankfulness. It's
Yes.
Kate, you have always been a giver. in every aspect of your life. So give us a little right now.
All right. So it was funny in preparing for today because I feel like I'm one of the OGs, like when you started doing the gratitude show. And this year has been a little rough year in the real estate world in a few different ways. And like my gratitude, like my note writing wasn't as great as it normally is. And there was a lot of working through hard situations that was going on. And I ran for a position that I lost, right? And that was a big thing. And so all of these things were kind of like just not as much fun in my day. And I thought to myself, well, where did I find gratitude in that? And these sound like small things. And there's other things that we may get into, but the bottom line was like when you fail forward and when something is happening, like when you're in a difficult transaction where they've been going so great, and I have relationships with my clients, I am so personal with them, and I work with a lot of seniors, and it's just been a rough year as far as relationships go. But when you are in this situation where you feel like there's failure, and you say, after that is done, and you say, well, all right. And again, I do live gratitude, and I'm like, all right, so where did I fail forward? And what did I get better at? And what did I get, and what can I shun now, right? What brings me energy and what takes away my energy, right? I want to do more of the stuff that is energy bringing.
Right.
And so for me, it was getting rid of a lot of the stuff that's on our sides. When the pandemic started, my husband and I both looked at each other, and we thought both of us were going to have no jobs. And we're like, there was this feeling, I remember, like, because I do a lot of training, and I remember sitting there on my wetboard, wiping out all of my bookings in this day. And my husband's like, we're closing, So I say this because as I go through difficulty, when I come out through it, I have clarity on how I want that gratitude to look.
Right.
And I call it, in one of my trainings, I call it, time and money freedom, right? But that time freedom, that ability, like my dog had puppies this year, right? And so I went through this whole cycle with my dog who had these puppies, and I saw transformation in people like my husband. Like I say, who is like this alien that was planted here? And what did you do with my husband? Because he loves the dog. Like it's crazy. And my daughter took one, and my son took one, and my nephew took one. And all of these people who like their lives got enriched. And so through this like really basic thing were all these little beautiful seeds of gratitude. And people came up and like, just like seeing, like my sister-in-law said to me, the one that got one of the puppies, you have changed our lives. And I'm like, no, the puppy changed your life. But the puppies have changed everybody's lives, And my husband originally was like, we're selling them. And I'm like, we're giving them away. Like, let's not even go there, right? This is the time that we give what we've got, right? So anyways, it was a year of finding small, beautiful little things. This little beach in town came upon us. And it's just this tiny little pocket, like it's like a camp, and it's right on the ocean. And like to be able to just go simply sit there, amongst all of the, like they call them the invasives, right? The branches that are growing in there, and you've got this just little place to go and just sit. And what I realized for me in this quest for finding gratitude everywhere and finding things to be grateful for and practicing gratefulness is we all have what we need. And if we can pull it in and realize that we don't need that exterior if we look inward. And, of course, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's all different things that are important or whatever. But bottom line is, if you look inside, you have everything you need. And when with my higher power and my family and everything, it was like, that's failing forward. I don't know that I've ever felt more comfortable, and at peace. And I say that, and you guys saw me fidgeting. I am a fidgeter, but I just, and just to be grateful here with Larry. Like Larry is like such a beacon, and just, the enjoyment of knowing, like, I use Larry and Keith's story in my trainings every single time I teach new agent training. I talk about them. I learned that here, and he's such a giver. And he's so consistently awesome, and we get to find these nuggets everywhere we go. if we stop enough to slow down, shun the stuff that takes away our energy, and we just nourish the good stuff.
Kate, thank you so much. Can I get a note from my wife on that?
Yes, you can. I will absolutely write your wife a note. I should have written her one by already. I'm doing that this week.
Kate, I
But,
have to tell you, I have to say, I really don't believe in failure, especially when there's a lesson to learn in it that makes you smarter, better, faster, stronger coming out of it. Like there's not really a failure there. A setback, it's kind of one step back and then two steps forward. I mean, everybody in the world has issues. I mean, look at Tom Brady. He's got, an amazing career and, naturally athletically gifted and, children and, every money coming out of his ears and, a record number of Super Bowl rings. But his wife left him. I mean, everybody has something. No one's life is perfect.
Right.
No one.
Right.
So, the fact that there's some bumps in the road, that's life. And
it is. And aren't we lucky to be able to live it and not sit back and be in fear and say, I'm not going to do it because I might fail.
And I'm gonna take issue with that as well. Falling forward, I'm in the state where you're working. There's no failure, at Bold Real Estate. It's certainly not with you. And
No.
For the real estate people out there that are saying, oh, the interest rates are going up and there's no inventory, you are absolutely wrong. If you look back through history, the number of houses, the number of properties that are sold is being consistently sold year after year. They may be sold for less money. They may be under distress. They may be sold for too much money, but it's the same number of properties, and your job is to go out and help someone. And certainly that's what Keith has been doing in Missouri since we started working together. Keith, I know that your wife has struggled a little bit, and you're doing everything you can to keep them alive and keep your dog happy.
Yeah. The hardest part of that's keeping my dog happy because, it's his world and we all just get to exist in it, from time to time. But, my wife's had some health challenges over the years and, we just worked through those. And, one of the things that I think it's taught me is, I didn't used to be very patient. And I've learned through real estate, if you're impatient, you're going to be pretty frustrated most days because there's so many peaks and valleys. And the more that you fight the valleys, the more it pulls you under rather than embrace the valleys as a learning experience. And it makes you be more grateful when you hit the peak because then you understand that. And there's, I don't remember who said it, but you're either winning or you're learning. And if you learn to embrace that and realize that, hey, it's everything is for a reason. We just have to everything, we don't understand all of it, but we just have to be accepting and do the best we can every day and move forward. And I'm very grateful that her health is starting to turn around. We're starting to see some big improvements with her, and she's even looking forward to getting back in the classroom next week.
Okay.
You love teaching. I know that. I've seen some
I did.
posts from your children.
Every day that I say,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
I love being retired.
Yeah.
But
Well.
I want to throw something in and not interrupt you or step on your toes, but in particular, Kate, in real estate, you all must go, address the current need or the client, and then you do something called, in education, we go, okay, well, what's our next step? So I don't know what y'all call it in real estate or whatever, but I've heard everybody talk about having performed many next steps and showing, one of the ways of showing gratitude is those next steps of doing things for other people, helping other people.
Right.
That's that's giving those puppies. Oh my God. I'm still not sure if a baby or a puppy is better than the other. I'm still not sure. But giving away those puppies, they're thankful to you, but you gave them an act of being grateful,
Yes, yes.
right?
And
it
how can you
feels
be in a bad
good.
mood with a puppy around?
I
Yeah.
like the fact that you gave them to family members. So you just extended the family.
Oh,
So
there you go.
when mom goes over, she's going to see her children at your
Aw.
children's house. You know,
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
totally cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's fun.
Um,
It's a lot of fun.
you can sit there and think whatever thoughts that you want, and you're in control of that. It's said over and over again. If you are feeling badly, if you're feeling angry, if you feel, and it's not that we don't. I have a Hall of Shame client I'm working with, and right now, and for a variety of different reasons, but lack of gratitude and lack of graciousness and is always at the heart of all that. And you know what? That's not my problem. I'm grateful to have been able to help her do exactly the very difficult thing that you wanted to do. I am grateful for that. I'm going to leave that with that. And the whole Hall of Shame thing, you know, once they're in there, they're they're just a statue, and they have no meaning again in my life after that.
I
So
had a client once that said to me, I'm pretty chatty and out there, and it works for me. I mean, I will share the good, the bad, the ugly, the warts, the pimples, show it all. And my client said to me, Paige, you don't fall down, you fall up. And I love that. I thought that was a really nice way of putting it.
that
And it's
is
kind of
nice.
like when Kate said falling forward. I
Yeah.
think it's important. Like, people have to see you stumble and fall sometimes, and it sucks, but it's getting back up and trying harder the next time and learning from what knocked you down. I mean, that sends a signal, and it's motivating and inspiring to other people, I think, when they see that you can do it, maybe they can do it too.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it sends a signal to you yourself first. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, and it's also practicing that pause, right?
Yeah.
That pause of taking that moment, centering, finding those nuggets of wonder that have happened and all of the great things that have happened, and saying, like, it's going to be amazing. And looking for those benefits and looking for those nuggets. I so appreciate everything you all are saying. It's Larry, what a good group.
I love this show. I love
Yeah.
this show.
Well, I have to say, Kate, I was a little bit worried when you started talking about how you had prepared for today. I thought, oh God, I didn't prepare.
No, well, I was just thinking,
Yeah.
well, because you know what it is, I'll tell you, like I have practiced gratitude in my writing, and it's been like a business anchor. And this year's a little sloppier. And you know what? I have stopped doing a lot of people pleasing, And so because of this, I'm like, what do I talk about? It's like, I feel like the teenager came after, she hit adulthood or something, and I just wanted to share that when we go through those blips, it's okay, because there's we fall forward, or what you said, fall upward. I love that, and I think that's critical. I wrote that down.
That's a great description of life. If we can all look at falling upward,
Yeah.
we'd always be moving forward then. And, that's something through, Larry and I, we kind of met right as the pandemic was getting going, and Larry's seen a whole lot of things that went on in my family between now and then. And there's a lot of water went under the bridge between there and here, and it would have been certainly easy to just say, I've had enough and just fold. And Larry's been so good about being there, we don't always just talk about real estate. There's other parts of life and things. And through these 3 years, we've developed a bond that just is amazing. And I'm super grateful for that. And it is like you said at the beginning, we have, in spite of ourselves, helped each other double our business. And I like to think of it as because that's how we start our day every day.
100%.
I am most grateful for the fact that I got this guy from Missouri to wear a Boston Red Sox hat, just not this last year.
Well, I want to throw this out there to all of you, to all y'all, as we say, right?
Yes, all y'all.
All y'all.
If it's real estate or marketing or teaching, I think what we all do and encourage those who we mentor to do is to show the scary side of within each of us, or to put it in teaching setting, which is really the only thing I know. When I start a new class each year at middle school, I would say, I would like to have a very serious conversation with you. And they all go, oh no. And I go, oh yeah. And I said, I have an invisible disability. Can you guess what it is? And how could anybody guess? I mean, even an adult,
Right.
thank God, it's just not, it's rare. And so they give up, and I tell them, and I say, well, does anybody in here have an invisible disability? And that brings up the attention deficit disorders. It brings up the OCD. It brings up a lot of, does anybody have a physical disability? And nobody spoke for anybody else. The children who had a physical disability spoke. The setting had been created as safe, and they were able to see that despite or because of or using it as a constant teaching tool, that my illnesses have brought me to a point where I have a lot more to offer. And I share my success with others so that they'll feel like they can give permission to themselves to be just like everybody else, because everybody else is different. Yeah. And here is the teacher saying, I'm disabled and you can't tell, but let's talk about it. And you would not believe the difference that makes with the autistic children, the relationship that's created and developed between invisible disabilities and visible disabilities. And again, as you mentor people, which I have done and continue to do, and it sounds like all of you are terrific mentors, not only to others, but to each other. And now I feel like, thank you, you're mentoring me. That feels good.
You're one of us.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
So these kids are now have the confidence to let go of themselves and to also be a model for the next person with whom they engage. So I see that in real estate easily, see it in marketing, humankind. There it is.
Yeah. Caring about people. It starts with caring about yourself. And one of the ways to care about yourself is to really let go of some things, not hold on to anger, not hold on to hate, not hold on to any of those things that make you feel horrible, or make you feel angry, or I'm better than someone else. We're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
Some of us can drive the left lane better than others, but that was never
or parallel park. And
Or
I have to
parallel
thank-
park. Yeah, there's another good one.
I have to thank my husband because he has talk about COVID. I mean, how can people would go, oh God, now I have to be with my partner 24/7. And we were like, hey, we're having a great time, and we're still having a great time. And we're trying to figure out, I think we're going to be married 46 or 7 years. I have it in my
Congratulations.
ring, but the year we got married, but who knew I couldn't see it without a magnifying glass later on. But
I think
you know,
mine has a
he's-
UPC code.
that's what I should get.
QR code.
But the support again is incredible.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, go and create it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people out there that need help, want help, and can give help. They just
Yeah.
don't know it yet because it hasn't been opened in them in any significant way. And I think you get opened up when you're challenged. And there's no one who hasn't been challenged. There's no one who hasn't failed.
Right.
It's always said successful people just fail more than unsuccessful people because they don't stop.
Right.
And
Be a risk taker.
exactly. But let's, because we're here at the end of the year, let's circle back. So, Keith, you're going to be first on this one. You were last all the way through so far. But what's your hope for 2023? And it can be big, it can be small. But what are you hoping for in this next year?
What I'm really hoping for is to continue to be able to grow. And that's, professionally and more importantly, spiritually.
Mhm.
I feel like the two go hand in hand and, have a bigger faith in things and trust myself a little better than I have in the past.
Sure.
And just realize that, the ability's there. I just got to not be afraid to put myself out there and do it. So, I'm looking to have a lot of learning this year and a lot of growth.
Excellent. That's good. How about you, Kate?
So I was trying to listen to Keith and not try to figure out what I was going to say. But I will tell you that I have given this a little thought, and I am looking for connection, and connection in the way of our industry has some transitions that are going to happen, and connection, good, positive connection with one another and keeping communication and honor open is going to be the key to going through our next phase in a really successful and growing manner. And I hope that through that connection, we can share like the gratitude in everything and the
Right.
gratefulness and the thankfulness and let everyone know like what's going to be on the other side is
Mhm.
better.
Yeah.
And so connection is the word for me.
Yeah.
And you, Paige?
For me, the word is intention, because I feel like the pause that we all kind of hit the button for COVID has made me much more intentional. And I want to keep that
Mm.
intention in my life going forward. I feel like you want people in your life, you keep them in your life. You're actively bringing them in,
Yeah.
you stay in touch, you
Yeah.
actively connect, as Kate said, communicate with them, stay together. So my magic word, if you will, would be to be more intentional moving forward. I think what I hope for 2023, I guess at the macro level, not to sound too kumbaya, but world peace would be great. I just feel so bad for the Ukrainians and for the whole world, what we've seen happen to democracy. And I just want the world to kind of wake up and realize, people want to make their own decisions and live freely in peace. And I just hope for world peace. And with China opening up after not really having a good vaccine and being in lockdown for a few years, I worry that like now we're going to get all these new mutations because you've got a billion people that are now starting to circulate and travel, and they're going to get ahead of whatever vaccines we've got that seem to be working right now. So, I hope we can tamp down this virus and get back so that people like Sissy and I can travel and get back out there again. That would be amazing if things were controlled enough that Sissy and I can participate and
you
be
and I
out.
could have a meal together.
I would love that, Larry.
And
Yeah.
Sissy?
Gosh, that's tough. On Paige's coattails, I don't, the world peace thing, yeah, it's in the toilet. But you know what? I've been working with the Afghan refugees here in Savannah, and it's been the joy of my life during these past few years. And wow. So there is some change, and you could do it on the phone to find out, to sponsor, mentor family. But what do I have? Well, good health is always, please, dear God, good health. Personally, I think that I want to continue to progress in observing boundaries. As a teacher, as a Southerner, whatever you want to label it, as a person, it's really hard to stay in your lane. Well, it is for me. And I know I've done better. So I want to continue to improve in observing boundaries with people, and that I'm not in their space unless they want me to be, or which would be the intentional. And but that's a hard one. It's got to be overriding for good health, physical health, emotional health, mental health, and for my children and my grandchildren, my husband, for the family, and all friends, to be able to relax. I just feel like we're always running with the ball and elbowing people out of our way. I mean, I remember when I was praying so hard for a vaccine for COVID, and then we got one. And so I got to go back to that. There wasn't a vaccine. There is a vaccine. So I'll just keep hoping, like you said, an improved way of fighting these, Netflix viruses, or whatever channel they're on, sci-fi at this point. So good health, good mental health, good physical health, good medical health, and good health, to use your word, in connections.
Well, for me, I'm living it right here. I am intentional about the people that I care about, and I want to, and will continue it. I'm grateful that my wife is retiring sometime soon. So yes, I get to spend more time with her. That used to be my greatest fear, was when she wasn't teaching and she was in her studio, which is right that direction. Dangerously close to, hey, Larry, could you do this? Hey, Larry, could you do that? But most of it's done now, so we're good. But I am really hoping, and I think that's how I started. What do you hope for? I hope that I have the ability to talk to racists, talk to anti-Semites who are absolutely the bane of our existence, our humanity, and get them to understand that we're all the same. And you, because you're white and angry, doesn't mean or have anti-Jewish feelings. That doesn't make you better. It makes you worse. And I hope that sometime during the year I can get through to some of them, and change their lives in that way. In the meantime, I'm not going to be around those people. I'm going to be around people like you,
That's right.
because that's what we want. Um, this is such a joy. I wish the show was much longer, but thank you all for sharing everything that you are and you do, and thank you, my audience, the audience, for listening and enjoying the show and coming back next week. Have a great and happy New Year.
Thanks,
Thank
Larry.
you for having us.
Meet you all.
Happy
Paige
holidays. Happy New Year.
Paige Arnof-Fenn, Kate Lanagan MacGregor, Sissy Hoffmann, Keith Landrum, and I'm Larry Lawfer. Thank you so much. Have a happy New Year.